Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler, and I am the host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here. Welcome back. Glad you're tuning in. This movement is more important than it's ever been over the past 6 years because we've got a lot of work to do, guys. We've got a lot of work to do in our communities, our businesses, our families, and it's our job as men to step up as the leaders that our people need us to be, and that's what this podcast is dedicated to doing. Primarily, we do that through the interviews that we're doing. We've had guys like David Goggins and Jocko Willink and Andy Frisilla. We just had Morgan and Marcus Luttrell on the podcast. The lineup of guys. Eddie Gallagher just came on. Steve Ranella, I just recorded a podcast with him. So the men that have come on this podcast to share what has made them successful and why they've been able to achieve what they have. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's a powerful tool and resource. And if it served you in any way, guys, all that I ask is you share. All right, just share it. Take a screenshot. Let people know that you're listening to this podcast. If there's a particular podcast or conversation that resonates with you, let your people know. Also, please leave us a rating and review. It'll take you 2 minutes. I think we've got like 53 or so hundred ratings and reviews. I think we need to be up in the 10,000 range, and that goes such a long way in promoting what we're doing here. So if you've ever found value, please do your part and share and leave a rating and review. I'm going to start reading a few of these because I think what you guys have shared and how this is impacting your life is powerful. And it's inspiring to know that what we're doing here is meaningful and significant. Today I want to talk with you. This is our Friday Field Note, so if you're not familiar, it's just me riffing and a little bit of a monologue and some thoughts that have been bouncing around in my brain. And I was having a conversation earlier today with a friend of mine about problems and how we deal with problems and how we create and provide solutions to the problems that we're dealt with in our lives. And as we were talking, we said, the ultimate goal of life is not necessarily to ensure that you have no problems. Because if you have no problems, what good is it? Like, how are you improving? How are you growing? How are you getting better? If everything is handed to you on a silver platter or there's nothing difficult or demanding that you're dealing with, you're not improving. And we know that we can't remain in some sort of stagnant state. We're always either growing and expanding or contracting and devolving. And so as we were talking, I said to him, the whole goal of life is not to get rid of your problems. It's to elevate them. It's to have the problems that you're dealing with be more significant and more meaningful and more impactful and greater problems that you're solving that will create more solutions and provide more answers, not only for yourself, but the people that you have an obligation for. Isn't that at the root of what it means to be a man? Is our ability to serve and to lead and to guide and instruct and coach and mentor and father other individuals that we may come in contact with. And we do that by making ourselves more capable. I think it was Bruce Lee who said something along the lines of, do not wish for an easier life, pray for the strength to become stronger. So I'm paraphrasing. But that's the concept I wanted to riff with you about today is so many of us are running away from our problems. You've got a marriage or a marital issue, divorce. I don't want to deal with this. Too hard. I'm out. You have some sort of contentious relationship or work environment. Just go find new employment. If you're dealing with some sort of personal issue, you sedate yourself, right? Drugs, alcohol, pornography. Sedate yourself. I don't want to deal with it. Forget about it. And so we never address these issues. And then what happens is that we continue to run across the same problems over and over and over and over again. And they never get resolved. They never go away. And then the guys who deal with the same types of problems they've always been dealing with are wondering why they get the short end of the stick. And there is no short end of the stick. There's no situation where life or God or whatever continues to give you problems because out of spite or to get you. It's because you haven't learned to grow past those problems. I've told you in the past there was times in my life where I would literally wear a dirt path in the grass in our backyard because I was pacing around the yard wondering how I was going to put food on the table and make the mortgage payment. That was a problem. But I didn't not address it. I didn't avoid it. I didn't hope that somebody else would come in and rescue me from my problems. I gradually and slowly and inevitably came up with the solutions with the help of others and mentors and programs and coaches and processes, came up with a solution to my own problem. And at this point in my life, as I'm almost 40 years old, taking care of the mortgage payment isn't an issue. I don't say that to be braggadocious. I don't say that to make you feel bad about the situation you may be in. I'm just painting the reality that that problem is no longer a problem of mine. Could it be in the future? Sure. If I forget the lessons that I learned and I devolve rather than evolve, and I don't continue to elevate the problems that I have. And it's not about making your problems better or elevating your problems. It's about you making yourself more capable so that you can deal with more complex scenarios and situations and then have more impact in your life, in the lives of the people that you care about. So as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk with you about today, I wrote 3 things down. And it's a very simple formula. It's a very simple framework. I'm going to try to get into the generalized notion and the specific notion of how you can continue to elevate your problems so you're not concerned with and not wrapped up with the same petty bullshit that you've been wrapped up in over the past several years or even potentially decades of your life. I want you to grow. I want you to expand. I want you to evolve. And that doesn't mean that your problems are going to go away. It just means that you replace your current problems with better problems. And what does that mean to have a better problem? How do you define better problem? Because it's a bit of an oxymoron, right? I've got a problem. Oh, but this one's good. This one's better. That's an oxymoron. Well, I'll tell you what a better problem is. Something that challenges you. It stimulates growth mentally, physically, emotionally. And sure, I mean, who wants to deal with scenarios that are uncomfortable or difficult or potentially even dangerous? Nobody wants to deal with that. But there is something deeply satisfying in knowing that you don't have to worry about making the mortgage payment. Now you're worried about having to pay 10 or 20 or 100 employees because you've gone past having to worry about the mortgage. And now you're actually focused and you have the capacity to worry about helping other people pay their mortgages. Isn't there something deeply satisfying and rewarding about knowing that you're more capable of dealing with that than you were with dealing with just making one mortgage payment? Of course that feels better. And the actions and our capabilities and the way we serve other people is what defines us as men. So I want you to really take some time over the next, what do we have? It's December 11th. So we've got about 20 days left of the month, of the year actually. And I want you to take the next 3 weeks and I want you to document and inventory your problems. Is it the mortgage payment? Is it an issue that you have with your child? Is it something that you're dealing with at work? Is it a promotion? Is it growing your business? Is it health and wealth related? Like what are your problems? And I want you to write all of those problems down. So get out a notepad, a blank notepad. I've got one with me at all times. Here it is. I've got a few notes for today's podcast, but I've always got a blank notepad. And I've always got, well, I say I've always got, frankly, I actually don't know where it is, my battle planner. I think it's over there on my other desk. But I've always got those 2 things with me. I've got a blank notepad and my battle planner. I was going to say within arm's reach, but that would be a lie because I can't reach my battle planner from where it is today. But I've always got those 2 things with me because there's always thoughts and ideas and things bouncing around in my brain and things I want to talk about and conversations I want to have and just ideas. I want you to get that notepad out, and I want you to first and foremost document every problem that you have, whether that's external, internal, big, small, whatever you're concerned with, things that are keeping you up at night, just document them all. Because what I'm going to help you do is give you a framework to deal with those problems and to trade those problems in for better problems that are more significant, more meaningful, more impactful, more rewarding, more beneficial for you and other people. And that's what we want. We do not want to live a life free of challenge and strife and hardship and struggle. That's boring. That's lame. That's not growing us. And we know it. And so it might feel good for a couple of hours or a couple of days at most, and then you're going to be bored. This is why men who retire struggle. There's no more problems. You ride off into the sunset. You've got the pension coming in. Hopefully you've got an income coming in. You're golfing and you're sipping Mai Tais on the beach, and we die. Literally and figuratively, because we have nothing to pit ourselves against, and that's what we need as men. So how do you elevate your problems? Number one, document. You've got to list them out. You've got to know the enemy. You've got to know what you're dealing with. You've got to look at it as objectively as possible. And so many of us have things that are just floating around up here in this headspace, and we never extract it out of our minds and document it on paper. And so we don't really exactly know what it is we're dealing with. So pull it out of your head. Stop just thinking about it, toying around with it up here, and make it tangible. Put something to it so you can sink your teeth into it. Write it down. This is actually the power of journaling. So many of us are just thinking and we're trapped, and ideas aren't going anywhere else. They're just bouncing off the walls of our skull, and it could be bouncing off the walls of other people's skulls and other information that could actually serve us and get us out of the situation we're in. So guys, get out a piece of paper, write down all of your problems. So from there, step number 2, you need to understand what your priorities are. And you can't do it all. I know you want to do it all. I know it feels good to want to do it all, because doesn't it feel good as a man to be wanted, to be needed, to have somebody rely upon you? I know that feels good for me. So I assume that it feels good for many of you. And we wear this busyness and this baggage and all of the actions and all of the things that we're doing on a daily basis. We wear as much as we possibly can, and we just load ourselves to max capacity and more because it feels good. And then we measure our sense of worth or masculinity or who we are by our ability to shoulder the load. Guys, you don't have to shoulder it all. And by the way, if you shoulder it all, you're not going to be as efficient as you could be. If you're carrying everybody else's baggage and you're carrying your baggage, and these things are weighing you down, and it doesn't allow you to grow and to evolve and to expand and to try new things, to face new challenges, to pick up new skills and hobbies and activities that are going to advance you and push you. I mean, are you really serving people? Do you want to be the bellboy of life for everybody else, where you're just running their luggage and their baggage up and down, to and fro, from and wherever they're going? Or do you want to assert yourself in life and carry your own baggage and worry about your own? Now, sometimes you're going to have to shoulder somebody else's baggage, those people closest to you. And that's where this first step comes in. I guess it's step 2 after inventory, is your priorities. You're not obligated to make other people's problems your priorities. And you're not obligated to do things because you're quote unquote supposed to do them. I know there's a lot of things I talk about on this podcast where you might think, well, Ryan says, this is the way of men. This is what men do. Some of you are thinking that. I don't think that's objectively true. I think you need to decide it for yourself. I don't have the corner. I don't have the market on what it means to be a man. I've got some ideas about what I think it means to be a man. And you've got to evaluate and consider if that's the same meaning for you. But ultimately, it's your life and it's your priorities and it's your goals and your objectives. So ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want to do everything mediocre? Or do you want to do a few things that you have your priorities set on in an exceptional way? What hobbies do you want to get yourself in? And by the way, if you pick up one hobby, something else has to give. Time is finite. I'm going to talk about another strategy to expand our capabilities and time in general. We'll talk about that in a minute. But frankly, time is finite. All of us have the same 24 hours in a day. How is Jeff Bezos making billions and billions of dollars and I'm not, or you're not? Because he knows how to manage that time more effectively than we do. And he's got his priorities straight, I think, maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to assume, but people have their priorities straight and some don't. And you've got to ask yourself if you do. The only way for you to know this is really, frankly, this is kind of a negative way of looking at it, but what are you willing to say no to? Because if you never say no, then you have no priorities. We're talking about this in the Iron Council. We're talking about nice guys, and nice guys have a very difficult time saying no to things. And if you have a difficult time saying no to anything, then you have no priorities. Nothing's important to you. If everything is important to you, nothing is important to you. The counter to that is that you know what to say yes to and you know what to say no to, and occasionally you do say no because it's not a priority. It's not important for you. So if you need and want and have a desire to elevate your problems and in turn expand your capacity, then you need to know what your priorities are. Is it your business? Is it your family? Is it your health? Is it your finances? And in order to know exactly what it is, you also need to know what it isn't. So on that piece of paper where you listed out all the problems that you're dealing with right now, you might be able to check off 10, 20, 30% of those issues because guess what? You don't care about them. And guys, I'm giving you permission, as if you needed it, to check some of those things off the list and say, you know what? That's not an issue. That's not something I'm willing to pour into. That's not something I'm invested in. That's not something I care about. And I'm not telling you to remove any sort of obligation or responsibility that you've committed to. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying there are things on your list, potentially a third or half or more of your list is things that you never volunteered for, you never agreed to, you never contractually obligated yourself to, and you're free to check those off your list. Some of you might be thinking, well, that makes me a quitter. Fine, whatever, so be it. There's things that I've quit on. That doesn't make me a loser. I don't equate quitting something to being a loser. If I'm still interested in it and then I quit, okay, that might be loser mentality or loser behavior. But if I'm no longer interested in something, barring some sort of commitment that I've had to somebody, then I think it's okay to check it off your list. And it's okay to tell yourself, you know what? Maybe at one point this was a priority, but this is not a priority right now. There's elements of my fitness journey. Running. Somebody asked me about running the other day. They said, "Are you still running? How come I don't see you posting about you running anymore?" Because it's not a priority. Did I quit? Yeah, I guess technically I stopped running. But there's other facets of my life, my fitness life in particular, that are more important. And that's how you give yourself the capacity to elevate your problems. You stop focusing on the things that are unimportant and trivial, and you start focusing on the things that are important and that have meaning and significance because you only have so much time in the day. So you're going to have 4 action steps today. Number 1 is document all your problems. Number 2, go through and prioritize. Some of those things need to come off the list altogether. You have my permission. You didn't need it, but now you have it. So if that's what you were looking for, you got it. Check them off the list. Then rank them. First and foremost for me is my family. That is my priority. And everything that goes with it, making sure they're emotionally and spiritually and physically fed and taken care of. And then I get into my work and I get into my fitness and I get into other things that are important to me, but I know what those are. I know exactly what they are. And so when other opportunities or other baggage is expected to be dumped upon me, I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nope, not carrying that baggage because I know what my priorities are. Number 2, look for the activities and the problems in your life that are going to create the most impact. Again, we only have a few hours in the day, right? I say 24 hours, but we've got less than that. We've got 16 or 17 hours of waking hours where we can actually do something. And so if you're going to spend any amount of time towards something, then you need to spend your time towards the things that are going to make the largest impact. If I need to decide between 2 things, and that's all that I have time for, I'm always going to pick the one that is going to provide maximum impact in the shortest amount of time possible with as few resources as possible. That is how we maximize our time. That is how we elevate our problems. And with limited time, a finite number of minutes in the day, it's important for me to say, okay, what is going to make the largest impact? For me, right now, in particular, what's going to make the largest impact is for me to record a 25 or 30-minute podcast talking to you about elevating your problems. And if that wasn't the case, this is not what I would be doing. I would be doing something else. And later in the day, I will be doing something else. That's a priority at that point. So you've got to ask yourself, is the work that you're doing right now, whether it's dinking off, playing around, working on a project, looking at your hair, checking your phone, whatever it is you're doing, is that creating maximum impact? And if it's not, then your priorities are off and they're skewed and they're distorted. And some of you will say things like, well, like getting ready for the day doesn't provide maximum impact. I disagree. That's a critical component of the way that you show up and present yourself. If you look good and you feel good about who you are and how you're showing up, you're going to perform well. If I feel confident in the way I look and my ability to communicate and present myself to you, then I'm going to show up and create maximum impact towards something that is important. This podcast, serving men, helping you, and giving you the tools and guidance and resource and direction that you need to lead your families, yourself, your businesses, and your communities well. Look for maximum impact. And if you're having to choose between two things, choose the one that provides maximum impact. The third component of this, guys, or the fourth if we count your inventory. So again, we've got inventory, step number 1. Number 2, prioritize and eliminate some of those things that are unimportant. Number 3, look for maximum impact. And number 4, we're always going to run into some scenarios and situations where things need to get done. Podcast, for example, needs to be edited, needs to be cleaned up. The intro and the outro and the music and the artwork and everything else needs to be added to this podcast. Could I do it without it? Sure. But I think it's important, as I said earlier, that we present ourselves in the best light possible. Is that going through and editing and cleaning up the audio and scrubbing the background noise and all that kind of stuff, is that maximum impact for me specifically with what my strengths and my gifts and my priorities are? The answer is no. So I've got a friend. His name is Cody Lanham. He's the one that edits our podcast. He does a phenomenal job. And for him, that's maximum impact. He enjoys it. He's good at it. He likes doing it. He sees it as a challenge and something that he can get better at and improve in. So this is where the art and science of delegation comes into play. Just because it's not important to you doesn't mean that it doesn't need to get done. A lot of times it still does. Budgeting, for example, is a thing that a lot of you guys don't want to do. We talked about this on the Ask Me Anything on Wednesday. Does that mean because you don't feel like it's meaningful or impactful work that it doesn't need to get done? No, it still needs to get done. But here's the beauty of what we can do and how we can expand time frames. I said we only have 24 hours in a day, and I used Jeff Bezos as an example, Elon Musk. Look at the most successful people, the guys even that we've had on the podcast. Same 24 hours. How do they maximize that time? They focus on their priorities. They focus on impact, and everything else that they know that needs to get done, they delegate it to people who feel like that's a priority, and that's maximum impact for them. So I have somebody edit our podcast. I have somebody who does outreach to people to get amazing guests on the podcast. Her name is Brandy Kane. She does a phenomenal job. This is what she's good at. This is what she excels at. Way better than I can ever do. And that leverages my time to have the conversations, to have these types of podcasts, to jump in our Iron Council, our exclusive brotherhood, and have the conversations there. I've freed up my time. All that stuff still needs to get done. I'm just not going to be the one to do it. This is very difficult for an assertive man, a high achiever, a hard charger who wants to make sure that everything is done correctly. You know what? You don't have to do it all. In fact, I'm realizing, and this is a great lesson for me in 2020, that the more effective and better I can get at recognizing people's strengths and then bringing them into what we're doing here, not only is it going to get done, it's going to get done significantly better than if I were to do it. And then I don't have to get bogged down mentally and physically with stuff I just don't find valuable or rewarding. Guys, you've all heard about delegation. You know how important it is, and yet very few of us do it because we feel like if we delegate that we're not as significant or important, or maybe it's not going to be done as well as it can, and that's not true. That's a script that we've bought into. That's a lie that we tell ourselves to feel important because we're doing everything. I know I feel important when I'm doing everything, but doing everything isn't my priority. I don't derive my sense of worth and value in the world by doing it all. I derive my sense of value by providing maximum value for the people I'm trying to serve. That's my wife, that's my children, that's my neighbors, my friends, and that's you guys listening to this podcast. And in order to accomplish that, I can't do it all. In fact, it's not possible, and it would do a disservice to those I just told you I care about. The only way I can provide maximum value to them is by delegating the things I don't want to do so I can focus on the things that I do want to do and the things that I'm good at. So this is a very simple conversation for you today. It's not always easy, but I'm trying to give you a simple framework that will help you elevate your problems beyond worrying about the mortgage, beyond putting food on the table, beyond cleaning the toilets, beyond whatever it is you're doing right now and dealing with now. Guys, let's not run away from our problems. Let's not hope that 2021 will provide this utopian environment and circumstances where nothing ever goes wrong. And instead, like Bruce Lee said, let's worry more about and focus more on making ourselves stronger and more capable so that we're equipped to deal with more significant and meaningful problems. It's about elevating, not eliminating your problems. Again, as a recap, we do that by number 1, taking an inventory of the problems we're dealing with. Number 2, prioritizing what is important to us. Number 3, looking at those priorities and focusing on the things that can provide maximum impact in the way that we feel meaningful and significant. And then number 4 is looking at delegating the things that need to get done but don't fall into your priorities or the impact and meaning that you have. Guys, I hope that serves you. We're rolling into 2021. This conversation, although it's only 25 minutes, is going to be very, very powerful if you incorporate it and adopt it into your life. And by the end of 2021, you'll look back and think, oh my gosh, those are the things I was worrying about. I don't even have time to worry about that stuff anymore. That's a pretty good indicator that you've done this right and you're worried about greater, better, bigger problems. And of course, the solution to those problems as well. If you want to know more about, guys, what we're doing here and how we're doing it and these types of frameworks I'm talking with you about today, consider joining us in our exclusive brotherhood, the Iron Council. We've got, I think, 740-ish members of the Iron Council right now. This month, for the month of December, we're focused on No More Mr. Nice Guy. For the month of January, we're focused on dealing with imposter syndrome. We're working in small teams of 12 to 15 men to holding each other accountable, to using these frameworks, to issuing challenges. We've got a leadership development course coming soon, and guys are making more money. They're reconnecting with their wives. They're bonding with their children. They're getting promotions. They're starting businesses. They're getting fit. They're achieving fitness goals. It's incredible. It's phenomenal. And it's all because we're dealing with better problems than I dealt with 5-6 years ago when we started this thing. I hope it serves you. Let me know if it does. Again, as I started this conversation, share this episode, take a screenshot wherever you're listening, post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, post it on Twitter, and then go in, take 2 minutes, go into your phone, type in Order of Man, leave a rating and review. We've got 5,300 reviews. We need to get that. We need to double it. Double it. We need to get to 10,000. It's not about the 10,000. It's about how many more people will be impacted when we get to that number. Appreciate you guys. We'll be in touch. I'll be back next week. Marcus and Morgan Luttrell are joining me on the podcast next week. I just recorded with Steve Ranella. Chris Hogan's coming on the podcast. Phenomenal things coming up for 2021. Stay tuned. Stay subscribed. Go out there. Take action. And become the man you are meant to be.